Hello, everyone. Good evening from wherever you are joining us from. My name is Adejumobi Joshua, one of your tutors for the Generative AI class. You are all welcome to today's class, and I hope you are all excited as I am for today's class. Okay, so yesterday we were able to Yes. Please confirm if you can hear me very clearly. We already settled this yesterday, right? If this is your first time joining, please make sure you watch previous videos because indeed you have missed a lot, as this is our eighth class. This is the eighth class, right? And this is currently the third week. All right. So yesterday we were able to do some revision, right, about what we've been learning so far. And then we also moved on to discuss about prompt engineering, in which most of us gave good responses, right, about how to craft a good prompt. Yesterday, somebody also said I don't know if the person is currently in the class now. Somebody also said yesterday about the um person had an error, right, with using render and Gradio, right? You can actually use render to host your Gradio app. So I checked it out. I have also used render to host backend applications, right? Like Fast API and all. So if you are getting errors, to the person that asked the question yesterday, I can't remember your name anymore. If you're having errors, then something is wrong somewhere in your code and you would want to check it out with either Google or using some of these generative AI applications. Yeah. Somebody also reached out to me, so I'm trying to check out the mail now. Please make sure all your questions are answered in this class, as you can see me, right? I'll be only answering questions in the class. So somebody also sent me a message, right? Person had a question about, I think person's name is Nwosu Chioma. So he said you're having issues, right, with your runtime in Collab. After saving a copy, so when you run the instantiate client part, you got an error, invalid header. So if you're having that error, maybe you probably put in something you were not supposed to put in, right, in the notebook. So let me share my screen again. So currently, you do not have to be confused. I'm just trying to answer questions, right? Questions on people that have reached out or questions that I promised to answer from yesterday. Right. So Nwosu Chioma, this is the same notebook that you have. This is the same notebook that I have, right? After creating file and saving a copy in Drive, the concept of the notebook will not still change, right? I don't know if Chioma is currently in the class. Concept of the notebook will not still change. It is still the same thing. So yeah, if you are having an error, please check if you did not add any text above, right, in your coding cell, or if you did not change a coding cell to a text cell. Please make sure that it is the same thing as you've been given in the class. And if you are still having errors with that, please, you can associate with your colleagues or you can also associate talk to, right, these models that we've been talking about, these language models. They can be very, very helpful in helping you debug any issues that you are having with your code. All right. So moving on to do a revision, right, on what we did yesterday. Oh yes, I already did a revision. My screen is blank. Yes, I just started sharing my screen. Please confirm if you can see my screen as I just started sharing it. Kindly confirm if you can see my screen. All right, so great one. So if my screen is currently blank on your end, then this means that your network, right? There might be some issues with your network. All right, so moving on. My name is Adejumobi Joshua, just as I said at the beginning of this class. Okay, so I've done the revision from yesterday. So I want to hear from your end. We discussed about what a prompt is. We discussed about necessities, right, that you must integrate, right, when writing a very good prompt, right? And then we started talking about different prompt techniques. Started our discussion on different prompt techniques yesterday. And then first one discussed was, can anybody remind us the first prompting technique that we discussed yesterday? So what's the first prompting technique that we discussed yesterday? Wow. Okay. Role playing. Excellent. Thank you very much, Dorcas. We discussed about role playing yesterday. And we all know what role playing means, right? It's as easy as giving the language model a persona, right, or a specific character. Okay, so and yesterday we moved on to even do more fun exercises, right? We move on to um say, okay, well, based on our own career, right? Can we tell the model, right, to play our different careers, right? And then it was very interesting to see everyone mentioning that. And I'm sure that you did not only mention it, right? You also tried it out on your end to see how the model responses would look like. So today we'll be moving on to more interesting techniques. We'll be talking about zero-shot prompting, few-shot prompting, and also chain of thoughts prompting. Okay. So the first one, few short prompting. Sorry, the first one, zero shot prompting. This zero shot prompting is something most of us, a larger percentage of us, we do, right? Whenever we are asking these models like ChatGPT in their UI, Gemini, Claude, right, DeepSeek, right? This zero shot prompting is something a lot of us do today, right? It's something a lot of us do. And zero shot prompting just means that you are just asking the model questions, right? You're asking the model questions without giving it any examples. So that is zero shot prompting, right? It is the most basic form of prompting. Before we run this cell that we have, we all know that you have to scroll up to the beginning of your code, click on connect, right, at the right hand side of your screen. You will see connect here, but because I have already connected, That's why you cannot see any connect again. So then you know that you have to run the first cell, run the second cell to get your token, right, from where you stored it in the secret. And then the next thing you want to do is instantiate your inference client. And we all know what this inference client is, like a connector that gives us access, right, to the models that we have on Hugging Faces server. So after running all this, then we can move on to start running our code from zero shot prompting where we stopped yesterday. So here we have a question, a prompt which is just saying translate the following sentence to French, right? Without giving it any examples, because we know that, of course, these models, these language models, right, they've been trained, right, on lots and lots of data, so which gives them the ability to be able to answer questions, right, without even any examples. So when we run this, so you get an error, model is not defined. So this is, I also want to tell you that getting errors, for people getting errors, right, it is normal, right, when you run your code. Getting errors is normal. You just have to what? Read whatever the error message is saying. Try to understand it, right? Try to understand it. If you do not understand it, ask Google. If you do not understand it, ask GPT. That there are a lot of tools today that can help you understand any error that you might encounter whenever you are running your code. Now I am having this error which is saying what? A name error, model is not defined, right? That means that even after running the inference client, there was a place where I created um created a variable for the model that I want to use, right, and it is not in that current cell. So I'm just going to do is what? Copy this, because if you want to use a new model, right, you can do that by taking the Hugging Face model ID, right, and then use it. But I still want to continue to use the same model from yesterday. So I'm just going to copy that and then paste it here, right? Two ways. Is either I paste it here, or instead of saying the variable name here, right, I can just replace the name of the model here exactly with it. So once you run this, you can see I was able to get a response. So what this is trying to tell you is that getting errors, right, is very, very normal whenever you are running programs. It is just calling your attention to something that you should have done that you did not do, right, or something that you did wrongly. It's trying to tell you to correct it and do it in the right way. So I was able to get this response, right, with my prompt, which says translate the following sentence to French. I love watching movies on Fridays. Friday is the day that everybody gets to rest, right? So, and then this is the translation in French. So, let me ask you a question. Of course, by now, you should know that I like asking questions. Great one, Olufunke. If you didn't get any error message, that is because you probably already have run the cell. Yes, it's also normal that your code ran without error, right? This is probably because you ran the cell before. No, it did not run without putting model. Let me correct that. Clement, Shegun, who again? Olufunke. Your model, your cell did not run without putting model. The actually is that, let me explain it to you. You probably, not even probably, you definitely have a current session, right, ongoing, where the previous cell, right, this cell here that we had, right, you have probably run it in this, is either two things. You probably run this cell that we have model here before getting to the cell below, right? As long as you are in the same section, you are in the same session, right? You are in the same code session, right? And you run this previous code, this previous cell that has model, right? Before running the cell that we have under zero shot prompting, right? If you do that, then you are not going to have an error. But you can see that for me, I did not run this cell, right? I just went straight to zero shot prompting. So that is why it was giving me the name error that, oh, there is no variable model, right, that has been defined, right? But assuming I ran this previous cell, right, where the model variable has already been defined, right? So I would not have encountered that error. So I just encountered the error because I did not run this previous cell, and then the notebook is not able to remember any place where I created a variable called model. So I hope that explains that to us. Exactly. Yes. Okay. So moving on, now, this is an example of my own zero shot prompting, right? Where I just ask the model a question without and giving it an example. So I want you to give me instances, right? Where you've asked GPT, right? A question, right? Maybe at work, you wanted to solve something at work, and then you just ask GPT from then you just ask GPT a question, right? I want you to tell me the kind of question, right, that you ask GPT. So let me come again. We are talking about zero shot prompting. I have given you my own example of zero shot prompting, right? So now I now want you to give me your own example. So in what ways can you now relate to this, that you have done zero shot prompting before? I'm sure that we have all done zero shot prompting before, right? What kind of zero shot prompting, right, have you done, right? What kind of questions, right, have you asked GPT without giving it an example? So let me see those questions in the chat, and they will know maybe it is indeed zero shot prompting, or maybe it is not zero shot prompting. So while you are getting ready for my question, let me see other responses here. Oh, 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 Olufunke, it's not like that, right? It's based on the way you understand the code. Just make sure you understand the content, right, of that code, right? The content of that code, and then know like which particular cells to run based on what you want to do. Okay, so we have some examples of zero shot prompting here, and I am liking it already. Okay, I asked GPT to write me a short code to provision an EC2 instance on AWS. Wow, I want to see what it's going to write, and if it's going to give you a very good code that you will not encounter errors. Okay, so another one is, can you craft a new month message for me to send to my friends? I like that. So let's try this from Odutola out. So you can see that these are what you did not give it examples, right? You just asked this question. GPT is your right hand. Exactly. These models have come to make us do perform our tasks faster and also efficiently, right? So I'm going to change this prompt, right, to the one I copied from the chat, which says, "Hello, can you craft a new month message for me to send to my friends?" So you understand right now that we are not using OpenAI API because you have to pay, right, for that. But if you have the capacity, right, to pay for some of these GPT models, right, the same way we are like calling the completion endpoint, just that the one for GPT, you won't be using client.chat completion as we've been using for Hugging Face. You want to use, I think it is client.chat.completions.create. You want to use that for um um yes, OpenAI models, right? But we are not using that because, of course, you have to pay for that. All right, so I've checked Odutola's own. Craft a new month message for me to send to my friends and look at the response then soon. And I also want to use Abia Anthony's own. You ask GPT to write a short code to provision an EC2 instance on AWS. So let's see what it's going to give you. Clement is also saying, list the steps that must be taken to perform a machine QA in more like a QA. Maybe you want to build a QA application in radiotherapy. And I'm going to pin this Clement prompt that we are going to actually build a QA application. Please, if you are not talking about QA application, let me know. In radiotherapy, so we are going to build that project, right, in this class as we are moving on. So let me pin it and write it somewhere so I don't forget. As we are moving on in this class, we'll do that. Okay, so moving on. Hello AI, can you outline the best way to train your dog? Wow. And what kind of response did it give you? Or can you create a short Christmas poem? Great one, great one. It's great to see that the difference between X lookup, H and V lookup for Excel. Wow, excellent. All right. To turn it's a speech inspiring students to turn challenges into opportunities, right? It's great to see that most of us, right, we have all have encounter with this zero shot pointing because we are all very good, right, at asking GPT questions, right, without giving it any examples. We just ask and we want it to use like its knowledge, right, based on the knowledge it has gained during training. Okay, so well done on that. I knew we were all going to mostly relate to the zero shot prompting aspects. So there's still one I want to try out. Clemens, please let me know if you mean a QA app on radiotherapy so that I can correct that. And yes, I also want to run this one. Oh, then it's not an application then. Thank you. It's a for me, for me, when you said QA, I thought you meant question answering, right? For me, when you say QA, to me, it meant question answering. But imagine we're talking about quality assurance. So we're talking about different things. Oh, nice prompt. All right, so moving on, before we move on to the next type of technique that we are going to talk about, which is few short prompting, right? Few short prompting. let us see the response that we got from our model, right, for the new month message. Can you see? It is saying August. So can you see that these models, we actually need to write good prompts for them to give us what? A very, very good response, right? So to correct these prompts now, when you see that, oh, hello, can you craft me a new month message to send to my friends, right? It's saying, hey friends, just want to wish you a fantastic August. Are we in August? No. So you want to say, oh, hello, craft me a new month message for me to send to my friends. Maybe say we are currently in November. And then of course it will give you the right um message, right? The right response that you need. So always add context, right, to whatever prompt that you are giving to your model. Okay, so moving on, let's test this. GPT alarm, I should have removed this GPT before running it. But let's see what it's going to say. Oh, it's trying to use Terraform. Configure the AWS provider. Yeah, I reduced the. So let me allow us use more tokens and say, write me exactly. Yes. Thank you, Kenny. The model will hallucinate. Yes, the model will hallucinate if the prompt is not concise and precise. Yes, that is why we have been saying since yesterday that specificity, right, is very important. Specificity. Do not be write your prompts in an ambiguous way. Always break complex tasks, right, into subtasks and be clear in your prompt. Clarity is important. Great one. You prompted GPT to give you a code or a free app to convert your to convert your to convert your PDF document into text. Yes, well, it's something you could also still do with this. Well, yes, you can do it without code, just with GPT, and then you could also do it with this PDF library that we used in your creating summarization app. So it's something you can also like do with code, right? And something that GPT from GPT's UI, you can also do it just like you said, right? But OCR majorly is optical character recognition, right? Majorly for images, right? From my understanding, when you get text, right, from images, right? Not PDF document. We are not building robots here, please. We are not building robots here. Omatayo Esther, write me the role of an health worker. Excellent. Those are but do you know that that prompt is ambiguous? Omatayo Esther, you'd want to specify if you want it to give you something specific to what we have in Nigeria. Want to tell you, oh, maybe write me the role of an health worker in Nigeria, because some roles might, I don't know how really the healthcare industry works, but I know there will be some difference between the way an health worker works in Nigeria to the way an health worker works in America, right? So there might be some differences. So specificity is very, very important if you want to get a very good response, right, from your prompt. You show the code completely on your notebook without any delay. Oh, let me check. I was currently reading the responses on YouTube. So yes, it also did here too, which is to tell you that our open source models too are not coming to play at all. All right, so let's move on to few short prompting. Few shot prompting is different from zero shot prompting, right? This is when you give the model examples, right, on what a successful result or what a successful task, what it looks like, right, before you now tell it to perform a task. So let's see some examples of few shot prompting. So here we are trying to do sentiment analysis, right? Before before to do sentiment analysis, right, takes a lot of time. You will do some classifiers, get your text, train your model and all. But now you can easily, with just few short prompting, right, do your sentiment analysis. So for sentiment analysis, um you are just trying to for sentiment analysis, you are just trying to oh, sorry, my concentration got short because I was reading some of the comments, right, in the comment section. Great one, T praise. What can I do? It is showing not defined. What is not defined? Emmanuel Joseph. What is not defined? So you might have to like see what is not defined and then fix that, just like I said before. Oh, so it is an image then. All right, great one. So definitely it is OCR then. Well done, Abajo. It should help you list out high-paying jobs here in Nigeria. And one thing about that question that you just asked, Sophia, is that it has to help you list out the current current high paying jobs in Nigeria. And how does it do that? We'll get to that in few minutes time. Well, that was before, right? That it was a lot of work. Shegun Bello. So back to my well done, James saying, write me an urban plan of a city called Abeokuta in Nigeria. I'm curious to what it gave you. Like, did it give you the right thing with just that prompt? I would want to know that, James Paul. All right, so moving on to sentiment analysis. So giving a piece of text, right, you just want the model to help you determine what kind of sentiment or emotion, right, can be detected, right, in that piece of text, right. So if the person is saying, oh, I hate this product, right, so you would know that, oh, the person is sentiment is negative. Or if the person say, oh, I love this product, or saying I love this hair, or saying, oh, I love raw donut bun straight, or I love this and that, you know that yes, this person's sentiment is positive, right. So moving on, so now we are now giving this model few short uh giving it examples, right? That's what few short prompting is. Say, I love this product, it is fantastic, works perfectly. We want it to respond as just positive, right? I'm really disappointed with the quality of the food. We want it to respond as just negative. This is the best day of my life. Want it to respond as just positive. So we are just telling it that, oh, We are showing it that text and this is the response, text, this is the response, text, that's the response. So now when the person now asks a question, when you pose a query and say, I'm extremely disappointed, right, with the service of this restaurant. The food was bland, overpriced, staff was rude and all. Then when you run this, can you see that it just gave you a response negative? So my question to you is that I have two questions to you. Can we do this sentiment analysis with just zero shot prompting without giving it any example? So can we do this sentiment analysis without yes, without giving it any examples with just our zero shot prompting? I just go there and then say what is the sentiment of this piece of text? And then okay, I love conflicting responses. Emmanuel Joseph, please go back to the original copy of the notebook and create a copy again. You've probably changed something there. Or reach out to GPT models. I'm sure you have access to it so that it can help you to uh, solve whatever issues you might be facing on your end. For those saying no, have you tried it out on your end? But just saying no, I can see a lot of no, 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 no. So the question is, without giving these examples of saying, oh, I love the product, positive. I hate the product, negative. So without giving it these examples, right, we did still get the sentiment. Okay. All right. So let's check this out. Let's check it out. So let me change this one in my zero shot prompting and say, what is the sentiment of this text? What is the sentiment of this text? I love the product. Can you see? Saying the sentiment of this text is extremely positive. The use of the word love conveys a strong blah 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 blah. So definitely yes, without putting in some of the examples, right, it will still be able to know what the sentiment of that piece of text is. But then what is now the use of the few short prompting? Can anybody give me the difference between this result that we got here, or this response that we got here, and the response that we got from giving examples of sentiments and the type of response that we want? So let me check the chat. Definitely it's going to work. So my new question, right? My new question is that the response when we so I think Melibikwe is getting towards the answer. I said it's straightforward or few shots. She's like, direct answer. Yes, straightforward, direct answer. Oreo Felba, great one. Yes, few shots is to limit the results. 1-0 shots can be ambiguous response. In a way. So yes, you're actually correct. Kemi, Melibikwe, and who again? Let me see. I think someone said it was direct response. I cannot see it again. Yes, Oreo Felba. So because in the few short example, we said we do not want story, right? We are not really saying we did not explicitly say we do not want story, right? We just told it the kind of response that we want. We gave it the text and then we gave it what the type of response that we want. gave it the text, the type of response that we want, the text, the kind of response that we want. So the AI is seeing that pattern, right? When you ask that question, that is why it is giving you the type of response that you want. So let's say you are building an application for yourself, right? I don't know, maybe to solve a specific problem in your company, right? Or you can use this scenario such that the AI will not just be talking, 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 and jam talking like we have here in the zero shot prompting. It is saying a lot of things here, right? You would tell it the kind of response, right, that you want, and then it is good. After giving it some examples, right, then it is going to give you that type of response. So you can see that few shot prompting is very useful, right? To give the model example, right, and you demonstrate the desired responses, and the model is going to be consistent, right, because it has learned that pattern immediately from your example. Okay, so now I'm not going to run this second one that we have here. So I want examples from you. In what way do you think, based on what you are working on, based on the career, right, that you are in what way do you think few short prompting might be more helpful to you than zero shot prompting? Yes, this is the eighth class, Samson Lovett. Yes, this is the eighth class, and we are in the third week. So we still have, yes, zero shot prompting might not be correct all the time without examples. Yes. But then even with few short prompting, sometimes models might still hallucinate. Yes. And the required output, yes, well done, Chukwudi Ezekiel. Exactly, Philip. The AI is guided. Oh, Clement is saying the reason why it worked was because I directly asked for the sentiment in zero shot. Oh, yes, yes, definitely. That's what I was asking about. Sorry if you misunderstood my question. Okay, so we are still answering question on the few short prompting not working and all. So we are having an argument here, right? So some people are saying that the reason why the zero shot prompting worked, right, is because, so I understand what Clement, right, is trying to say. He's trying to say that what if we just, like, the way, here in the few short prompts, we also said you are a binary classifier for sentiment analysis, right? And then we are now giving it the text, and then we're giving it the sentiment. So it won't be fair to just go and dump the sentiment, right, on the model like that without telling it what to do, right, with the sentiment, right? Without telling it what exactly to do, right? Maybe tell us the sentiment or the emotion or anything. So it would actually be fair on the model, right? So I hope we all get that part now. Oh, please, admin, please help Magdalene. Magdalene is saying person has not been able to take attendance for the past 2 weeks. Okay, so okay, I can see somebody giving response here based on what they are currently doing in their career path. Kenny is saying few shots would be helpful when you are carrying out surveys such as sentiment analysis of a product. Yes, definitely. You can just have a maybe an Excel sheet with the different sentiments, right, of customers, right? Then you can write your code to just, instead of well, you can do it in two ways. You can upload the CSV file to GPT's UI, right? Or you can do it from your Colab notebook, right? And pass it to the model and tell you the sentiment of each of the roles, right? So that also works. Great one. Okay, Segun is saying in medicine for precise lab test results, e.g., positive or negative to hepatitis B. So Segun, I'm actually curious how you are going to create that prompt, and what are the things that makes us to know that, oh, this person has hepatitis B or not, right? So how are you going to create that kind of prompt, Segun? Please, I'm very, very curious and I would want us to try it out. It's safe. Oh, I don't get what you are trying to say. Akinwale Ayọ̀adé. Okay, Philip is saying in his field of work, he can use zero shot prompting for more detailed and varied response. I think you meant to say few shot prompting, right? Few shot prompting. So great one. We've seen use cases where we can use few shot prompting instead, right? When we are trying to know the sentiment of a product, or in medicine also. Segun also told us that in medicine. Segun, please, how would you craft that kind of prompt? I'm very interested to know that, because you have the domain knowledge, right? And you would be able to craft the perfect kind of prompt that would help the model indeed be able to classify that, oh, this person is positive to hepatitis B or not, just like you have said. So while Segun is helping us to craft that prompt, right, we can move on to the third type. So I'll keep an eye on this chat box to see when the prompt has been sent. And if you've not told us how few shot prompting can be useful for you, so think about it. So think about it, how few shots, right, can be important, right, for you in your current workplace. Think of cases where zero shot prompting, right, has failed, right? Think of places where zero shot prompting has failed, and then you with learning few shot prompting now, you now think, this can be a useful addition, right? This can be a useful addition. All right, so Miguel is saying that what makes Gen AI work? Are we still going to have their both class? Definitely not today. Yeah, we won't be getting to that class today because, as you can see, we are currently still on the prompt engineering notebook. All right, so moving on to the third type of prompts technique that we would be discussing in this class. We'll be discussing about chain of thoughts prompting. Very interesting. Chain of thoughts prompting, right? So in this kind of prompt techniques, right, so the model tells us its reasoning steps. Normally, right, the model just gives us answers, just gives us response, this, that. So you now want the model to tell you, okay, how did you come about this response, right? Why did you come about this response? So in that kind of scenario for chain of thought prompting, right, the model is going to show you, right, how it was able to come about the response that it is giving to you. Okay, so before we go on to our example for chain of thought prompting, before we go on to our example for chain of thought prompting, so I can see that Segun has giving us a response right in the chat box. It's saying by feature engineering, symptoms like yellow coloration, fatigue, dark urine, abdominal pain. So I would say a big no, that in that kind of situation, right? That's why I was saying I was very, very curious to see that how the model will be able to say the sentiment. That is not sentiment, right? That is prediction, right? It's the model, and we are not using language models, right, for prediction, right? So here the model is try would say if based on those features, right, just like you said, based on those features, I'm coming back to chain of thought prompting. I'm trying to answer Shego. So based on those features, right, the model is going to say, oh, this person has hepatitis B or not. So that is not an example of sentiment analysis. So for that, to get a very good response for that, you'd want to use your traditional ML models, then pass your features, yellow coloration, fatigue, dark urine, abdominal pain, pale stools and all. You want to pass it to not make things too complicated, right? You want to pass this to your classifier, and then your classifier models like random forest, XGBoost, all those cat boost classifier, all those traditional machine learning algorithms, right? You don't have to be worried if you don't know about them, right? We are not concerned about them from this class. I'm just trying to give a response to Shegun to predict. So in this kind of case, you want to predict if the person has hepatitis or not. So that is a very classic scenario of binary classification in traditional machine learning. All right, so moving on back to our chain of thought prompting. Meribayo is saying we'll be more exactly, because it is going to tell you the steps. It is going to give you the steps that it took, right, to come about that response that it is giving you. So now moving on, let's now go to our own prompt, right, for COT. All right, so let's move on. I'm sure you can still hear me very, very clearly. So now we are currently on the chain of thought prompting, and we all know that for chain of thought, we want it to tell us its reasoning steps, right? So let's read through this. So I want to increase. I don't want to put a cap on the number of tokens. So this is that. So you see that here, my model equal to model will not give me an error, right? Because I've already created that variable, right, above. Okay, so here we have a prompt which is saying you are given the following premises. So it's more like a logic question, right? And we want the model, right, to give us a response based on this logic question. So it's saying someone who lives in Redbury Mansion killed Aunt Agatha. The only people who live in the mansion are Aunt Agatha, the butler, and Charles. A killer always hates his victims. A killer always hates his victim and is never richer than his victims. Charles hates no one that Aunt Agatha hates. Aunt Agatha hates everyone except the butler. Remember that there are just three. Oh. Even for you, for us human beings, This type of question is very, very hard to answer. So let's see the response that the model is going to give. The butler hates everyone, not Richard and Aunt Agatha. The butler hates everyone Aunt Agatha hates. No one hates everyone. Aunt Agatha is not the butler. On the basis of the information, determine who killed Aunt Agatha and give a detailed breakdown of your reasoning and prove that your conclusion follows from the premises. So now we are trying, this is NAMA 3.18b. So let us see the response it is going to give us. So we are running this. We want to see the response is going to give us from this big logical question. From this big logical question. So what's the name of the model that we are using right now? Meta Llama 3.18b is saying the conclusion follows from the premises. Meta Llama 3.18b is saying the butler is the killer of Aunt Agatha, and then it is giving us its reasons, right? Which I am not ready to read, right? It's giving us the reasons why this model feels like the killer of Aunt Agatha is the butler. So let me change to another model. So instead of having a variable name model here, right, I'm going to replace it with another model ID. So I'll just get that model ID from Hugging Face. Okay, you can also try it out at your end though, with any model of your choice, and then see what it is going to give you. But since we are using a chat completion endpoint, we want to make sure it's an instruct model. So I'll paste this Mistral and then run it. I want to see what Mistral is going to say. Oh, I gave it the wrong model ID. Okay, so let me copy the correct one. Mistral. Mistral model ID Hugging Face. Wow, Winifred, yours gave that Aunt Agatha killer cell. Which model did you use? Let me know the model that you used, Winifred. Let me know the model you used. Of course, it's a YouTube video, right? Taiwo Adebayo. You can always just watch through the ones that you have missed. Winifred, let me know the model that you used though. While let me copy this one. 7B. Oh, it doesn't have for the chat completions. Then let me use another model then. This one too doesn't have a capacity for chat completion. So not all models, right, on Hugging Face has like the ability to be used with that chat completion endpoint. So that's one thing you'd also want to note. Let me use inference available. um, let me see if this one would work. Yay, this one has chat completion support. So we'll see our response now. So like you pick a model, right, on Hugging Face and you are getting error, it simply just means that that model has not, the developers, they've not created the chat completion like endpoint for that model. So you do not have to worry yourself too much. Just go and pick another model that has that support. Oh, this model is saying we do not have enough information to verify, to identify this person from the given information. Mistral. Mistral is saying we do not have enough information. This leaves one suspect, this last paragraph, and Agatha herself. However, therefore, we cannot conclude based on the given promise that Aunt Agatha killed herself. Instead, okay, so Mistral is also saying we cannot conclude based on what's. Oh, of course, it will give you that child or the butler, right? Because me, the response to the logic, right, is that Aunt Agatha killed herself, right? So that is why we are trying to get a model that would take a model that would. The max, which error are you having? Oyewumi, which error are you having? Is it about the model? You just have to change the model ID. Okay, Winifred. Yes, just change it from Hugging Face, right? So let me try another model. This time around, I want to try coin, right? Coin. So let me share this my model screen so that you can see how I'm picking my models. So all I just have to do is click on this text generation, and then I also clicked on inference available. So then I'm just scrolling through and then I'm picking models that I feel like picking. So right now, let me try this coin 4B model. So I'll just copy the model ID so you can see where we are copying it from here. And then I'll go back to my notebook. Let me share this again. So this is the last model I'm going to try out. You can try more models at your end, at your leisure time. to see which is going to give you the correct response. This model is slower. Okay, so while that is running, let's move. Okay, it's done. I'm not patient. This one even gave us a very nice conclusion to say Charles is the murderer. Wow. So can you see the three different models that we tried gave us three different responses for this logic question, and they all gave us the reason why they were thinking right about their response. The first one gave us that the butler is the killer. The second one said, oh, the information given in the promise is not enough to identify the person. That's Mistral. And Coin is saying Charles is the person, is the killer. All right, so you can also try out other models at your leisure time to see which is going to give you the correct answer to say, oh, this is the killer. So moving on, we all know we've encountered that large language models hallucinate, right? Hallucinate. We've encountered it a lot, even when we were doing our Gradio app with memory, right? We saw how it was able to hallucinate, right? So as we move on in this class, we'll also be seeing how to reduce hallucination, not totally eliminate though, because retrieval augmented generation systems do not totally eliminate hallucination in models, but they help to reduce, right, this hallucination. So today, before moving on to the next thing that we have to do for today, Winifred, be sure of the model you are using. You might be using MetaLlama. You can just do a print model, right, to see what, model is a variable name. When you do model equals to model, that second model is a variable name. So you can just print it to know what model you are actually using. You want me to try out GPT 4.0 with my API key? No. So you know that these models are actually paid for, right? And the directive of this class, we are using open source models, right? Not closed source models that we have to pay for. But if you have access to an OpenAI API key on your end, you can also use your own and then try it out to see the response that it is going to give to you. But for the purposes of this class, we'd only be using free models that we can use on Hugging Face from Hugging Face. Thank you. Oh, I should show you where I was picking my models from. I actually did that. So let me share the tab again. So if you come to this part, right, on Hugging Face, right, you can see this. All you have to just do is go to models, right, click on models. For now we are doing text generation, so click on your text generation, click on inference available, right, and then pick the models that you want to pick. All right, so moving on, before we move on to a new task that we would be doing for today, right? Tell me what you understand by zero shot prompting, few short prompting, and also chain of thoughts prompting, right? What do you understand by zero short prompting, few short prompting, and then chain of thoughts prompting? What do you understand by these three prompting techniques? There are other techniques, but we are just looking at these three for the purpose of this class. So before we move on to our new collab notebook that we'll be working on, what do you understand by um few short prompting, zero short prompting, and also chain of thought prompting? So I'll be waiting for our responses before we move on. Okay, so we have our responses are in. No examples or zero shots. No, the model is not guessing, please. For zero shots, we know that there are no examples, but the model is not guessing, right? Fine, the model can hallucinate sometimes, right? But it is not guessing because it has been trained on lots and lots and lots of data. That's why it's called a large language model. So it's not guessing. It knows what it's saying most times, but sometimes it can hallucinate. Few shots prompting, few examples to guide the pattern of response that we want. Explain, yes, great one. Thank you, Miguel J. No example, just open question, yes. Winifred, zero shot prompting, model prompt and ask it to generate a response. Yes, but the key word is that you don't give examples to it. All right, Odutola, zero shot prompting, no examples. Great one. Just ask model to generate responses. No, I'm currently on Odutola, so I'm trying to scroll to where I am. So I can see response from Eniola Sunday, T Praise. You're asking the model, yes. So great to see that most of us are following. Few short prompting, where the model is giving some examples. Exactly. Great one, Eniola Sunday, Winifred, Olayinka. Zero short prompting, the model has no clear answer. No, Olayinka. Zero short prompting, the model knows its answer because it has been trained on lots and lots of data. But then we know sometimes it can hallucinate. So Emmanuel is saying, yes, is zero short prompting, ask the model's question without giving any examples. That's what you meant to say. Francis, yes. All right. Melibikwe shows the model prompt. Exactly, with his own knowledge that it has used during training. Very important. Thank you, Melibikwe. Welcome, Nawa Kende. And then We also have chain of thought prompting. Yes, model will explain its reasoning process, how it got to that conclusion. Well done, Winifred. All right, great one. Thank you, Abubakar. Mm-hmm. Yes. No, I won't say Philip. I won't say zero shot prompting is for elaborate response, because it's just based on you and whatever you put in the prompt and whatever you want the model to do. So it can vary, right, from time to time, right? Yes, great one, Clement. All right, great to see that we have all been able to do that. We all understand rather that, and we're able to explain in our own words, because something you explain in your own words, right, will stick better in your memory, and then you can explain it to others when the time comes. So today we'll be moving on to work on a short task, right? We've done a lot, we've covered a lot in this past 2 weeks. We are currently in the third week, right? We've covered a lot on introduction to organ phase. Most of us now know how to create tokens, right, on Hugging Face, how to instantiate our inference client and pass our token to it so that we can be authenticated, right, to use models, right, on Hugging Face server. We've been introduced to using Colab, how to run our code on Colab. We all know understand prompt engineering, and then we know how to craft a very good prompt to get our desired response, right, from the model. We also know how to, in our last class, that's last week, we worked on some specific use cases, right, where we were taught how to do summarization, translation, question answering. We also took it a step further, right, to create a summarization app, right, with Gradio, right. We're giving it a specific document, right. We're able to get the summary of whatever we have, right, in that document. So today we'll be moving on to, we are not doing summarization app today, right? We'll be using some of the prompt engineering skills that we have acquired, right, to build an app, right, to ask our documents question. So unlike the one that, I can't remember your name any longer, somebody said they used GPT, right? Somebody said they use GPT to extract the text, right, from a document, and the person said he used OCR. But I was trying to say, oh, if it is just a PDF, right, you wouldn't need to use OCR for that, optical character recognition. But the person went on further to explain that, okay, it's an image, right, that was snapped. Okay, and then now I was able to agree to that yes, you can do that with OCR. So thumbs up to that person that did it on GPT. But right now we will be doing this not on snap document. Please take note of that. We are not using snapped PDF. This will not work if you just scanned it, right, and then you converted it to PDF. This will work on real PDF documents, right, where you have just text and not scanned. So that is the difference between what the person was saying earlier and this our short task that we want to do. So we want to explore some of our prompt engineering skills. Want to explore some of our prompt engineering skills, right, and want to build a very simple app where you can upload your PDF. We are just using 2 files for now. So here you can upload your PDF or text document, ask a question about it, and then the model will give you responses that are grounded, right, in that document. So the first thing I want to do, right, to be able to run my code is to first what? Click on this connect button, right, on the right and top right hand side corner of my screen. So once I've done that, I would also give my notebook, right, access to my Hugging Face token, right? So I'll give it access to my Hugging Face token. And then I'm going to use PyPDF, right? So PyPDF is a library that can help you to extract your it can help you to extract text, right, from your PDF document. So I'm going to install that because Collab Notebook has lots of libraries pre-installed, but there are still some libraries that you need to install to be able to use them. So let me see if we have any question. Oh, so some of us do not have the class task notebook. Please confirm if you have the class task notebook before we move on. Somebody is saying my screen is static. Wow, let me confirm that. Well, I'm not scrolling through my screen now. It's just there. So I'm not moving it around now. So it should not be moving for now. Shukrat is saying, please, I want to ask, how many times can we use a generated code? So what do you mean by generated code, Shukrat? What are you trying to do? Oh, or do you mean token? Oh, okay. Yes, you meant token. Yeah, you can use it for as long as you want, right? The token I also created since the beginning of this class, right? Because I'm really putting myself in everybody's shoes that is taking this class. We are using the same set of tools. Nobody is using anything different. We created our tokens at the same time. So it is that token since the beginning of this class that I am also still using, right? So you can use it, right? But I think there's a limit to the amount of requests, right, you can make with your free token. So you'd want to try that out. You want to try that out. Um, Not try that out. You want to check that out rather to know the limitation. All right, great to see that some of us um have it. Clement, what do you mean by your question? I do not really understand. You need to see how I'm connecting to Hugging Face. Is it from the inference client or how I'm loading Hugging Face from the website? Or maybe you should try to be clearer with your question, Clement. Omotayo Esther, I would imagine that this is your first time in this class because this is the third week of class. This is our third week of class. And our first week of class, we took the whole 3 days to explain how to add a token, right, to your Collab notebook, to the secret part of your Collab notebook. So you just have to name it HF token and then paste whatever token you got from Hugging Face. Nothing No other thing is required from you after you do that. Oh, so sorry about that, Olalekan. I hope your system comes up later. I'm sure it's going to do, so you don't have to worry too much. Olajumoke, what do you mean by you did not see the things that I did after connecting? I've only done one thing after connecting, and the one thing I've done is to install PyPDF. So are you telling me that you cannot see PyPDF? Olufunke is saying you cannot hear me. Please confirm if you can hear me very clearly. Please confirm if you can hear me very clearly. I can see Olufunke telling me that she cannot hear me. The Max, what do you mean by can I restart that over was lost? I do not get your message or what you are trying to tell me. Okay, so Olufunke did want to check your network. Everybody else can hear me very clearly. Thank you. And the only thing I've done, right, after connecting, I've not done anything else. After connecting, the only thing I've done is to install PyPDF, right? And I said PyPDF is the one that is going to help us extract our text from a PDF document. Note, I did not say a scanned PDF document. And one thing you would not want to forget, just like I said, right, in our last class, is that when you get a notebook like this, immediately click on file and then what save a copy in drive, right, so that when you make changes, right, to this notebook, it's going to be saved, right? Because if you ask me to share this notebook with you, I would not share it, right? So make sure you click on file and then save a copy of this file in your drive so that you know that, oh, this is your own copy, and then you can make any edits to it as you wish. Oh, so sorry about that. If it's difficult to run on your phone. Okay, so I can see that we are all with me now. So if you ask me a question and I did not respond, it's majorly because I did not understand what you were trying to say. Please retype your question and I will surely respond to that. Okay, so moving on, we've installed PyPDF, and I told us all that it's a Python library that we can use to extract text, right, from our PDF files. So the next thing we want to do is also, get our um token, right? Get our token and then also pass it to our inference client. So if you run this cell, run this cell. So this cell is doing different things. Getting our HF token. We are using Meta Llama. Yes, I actually like the model Meta Llama. That is why you're always seeing that I am using Meta Llama. But if you like another model, you can use another model like Mistral or Quen. Yes, you can use them if you like them also. And then we have our system prompts here. So as a refresher, what does a system prompt, what does it do? As a refresher, what does a system prompt do for us? Yes, exactly. You have to make sure you save a copy of your own version in your drive so that you can, whatever changes you are making, right, you would see it back. But if you are making changes in my own, immediately you refresh like this, everything is going to go away because I'm not going to give you access to it. No, must not name your token HF token, right? It is just a variable name. But then when you do not name it HF token and I give you a notebook that is calling it as HF token, then as a very good programmer that you are, you should know that you should change the variable name, right, to whatever you named it in your own collab notebook, right? So assuming I named my Hugging Face token something else in my notebook, right? I'm going to use that something else, right? When I am calling it in my notebook. I won't be using my own HF token too, as it will tell me that, oh, there is no secret named that, right, in your own notebook. So I hope you get that, Abara Christian. Yes, you can access the video after the class. Chukuma, exactly. You can access it's on YouTube, right? All right. So now, what can anybody give us a refresher on what we said a system prompt is? Right. Aladmoke is saying it helps to set the tone. Okay. I'll say in a way, yes, partially. But we could have like a more detailed response. Meribaya is saying system prompt is a prompt given from the model. A prompt given from the model. I would say no. Yes, about Christian, give your token a Christian a different name. I'm sure all of the notebooks I've been sending, make sure that you are also changing it in the notebook so you don't have errors, right? Ojotala is saying how the system should act, how the system should act. Yes, I like that. Telling the system how it should act, what it's supposed to be doing. Yes, Winifred, nice one. Olajumoke is saying set the tone for the command. Yes, command that the system is doing supposed to be fulfilling, right? All right, so great one. We all understand what a system prompt is. And then the next thing is this our function here, right? That helps us to read a text file or PDF, right? So once we put in our document, right? I'm sure we can all remember this particular function. It's the same thing we used, right? When we wanted to do summarize documents, just like it's the only difference is that that one we only used it for PDF documents, right? We only use that one for PDF documents. But here we are trying to make it work for either PDF or text document. So now we are saying if the file part is ending with the PDF, right? Whatever file we are uploading, if it's ending with PDF, they want to use our PDF reader. You know, we already above here, we already imported PyPDF as PDF reader. If you do not know Python, you do not really need to worry about this, right? You just need to know that whenever you want to maybe create an application that needs you to read a text file or PDF file, you can always use this function that we have here. And what does this function do, right? If it's a PDF file, it helps you to what? Extract text from that PDF file. But if it is a text file, right, it's already a text file, so you should just open the text file. We have with open, right, in Python that helps to open um files, and we do not need to extract anything because it's a text file, so we can just open it normally. And then we are trying to, if it's a PDF file, we are now trying to combine, a PDF might have multiple pages, right? We are now trying to combine the different text extracted into one big text. So if you don't know in Python, just understand this explanation that I've given you in layman term, right? And know that, oh, if I want to create an application that needs me to upload a PDF or a text, I can just come and lift this function and use it wherever you want to use it. All right, so moving on now, we are now creating another function for our responses, right? If the person does not upload the file, wants the person to see an error, to see, please upload the document first. And if the person does not enter a question, wants person to always enter a question, give us a question that they want to ask about the document. This read text, so I'll know if you are following. This read text function that we are calling it, that we are calling here, where did we get it from in this part? So the read text function that we are calling, that I'm currently highlighting, that I currently highlighted rather, where did we get it from? Let me see your responses in the chat. Exactly, from the function above. Thank you, Clement. So it's from the function above. It's this function here, right, that we first define. And I told you that, oh, anytime you need to extract text from a PDF or text, if I'll just lift it and use it, right? And then we are now putting it in our answer function such that um we first read the text, right? We want to first extract the text, right, from whatever documents that we've been given before now passing it on to our model. So you can see that we are constructing our messages just the way we have always been doing since the beginning of this class. Are constructing the messages. We have our system prompt, and then for the user messages, we are trying to say, oh, this is the document beginning, right? So that the model can know which is the document apart from the system prompt. We are saying the document starts, we are just giving this delimiter, right, to show that this is where the document is starting. Text, you don't have to wonder too much where text is coming from. The text is what we extracted, right, from this function read text, right? What has been extracted, we are now saving it in a variable name text. And if you remember from the very beginning of this class, I told you that you can liken a variable name to a box, right? So this is where we are saying that whenever we have gotten the text that we read from our read text function, we are saving it in like a big box named text. So instead of calling everything that we've read, we'll just call the variable name text because we know that it contains um the text that has been extracted. And then since we have all that now, we can just um create our we can create our response client.chat completion and then also get our response. But there's something wrong with this function. Can anybody see that? Can you see what is wrong with this client.chat completion? I want you to see that first. Can you see what is wrong? We should have a parameter here, but we do not have it. So which parameter is missing inside this endpoint that should be there? Oh, we already gave our responses. Gave Genevieve, Francis, excellent, great one, Shegun Bello. Yes, I can see that most of us are following. Model, very important. Model should be there. Model should be there. So we want to add that to that. Model equal to, did I save it in a variable name that is all caps? Yes. So model will be equal to, the variable name used here, you can see it. It's model in all caps. So you want to make sure you follow that if that is how it is in your own version of your notebook. But if you've changed that, then you do not have to worry. And then we'll put a nice comma to that. Okay, so before we also run this, let me ask a question. Yes, I love asking questions. What does temperature help us do, right? What does temperature help us do in how does it affect the responses of our models? The response we get from our model, right? What does temperature help us do? Great one. Great to see that we are all following. Model is missing. Excellent. Eniola, Vincent, Francis, the Max, Adebowale, Kehinde, Ore. Oh, I can't really pronounce your name. I think Seke. I don't want to mispronounce your name. Oriofe, well done. Alright, saying controls randomness. Yes. shows how creative the model can be, either deterministic or the response can be more random, right, as the value of the temperature increases. Yes, so great one. Clement is using the word specificity. I would like deterministic better though. Controls the creativeness of the model. Excellent to see that most of us are following. All right, so now let's run this. Now that we've been able to put in our model value, so let's run this. I'll run this, and then we have a simple Gradio app here. Yes, we have a simple Gradio app here that would show us, give us a place to upload our documents, and then we'll get our responses, right? So we have demo.launch. And then when we click on this link, we know it's going to take us to a new tab. So let me share this new tab instead. Yes, so we have this our beautiful Gradio interface, right? Our very beautiful Gradio interface telling us to upload a PDF or TXT file, ask a question, and then get an answer grounded strictly in the document. So before we upload our documents, right, to get our responses. Yes, excellent. Cypress, I can see Abubakar, can see Helen, Francis, yes, Miguel J. I can see. Excellent to see that most of us are following. I can see Olajide, Olajumoke. Great one. Yes. So before we put in our PDF file to test and then ask questions, so one question I want to ask you is that this simple class tags that I have created for you, where you can see that here we are trying to make sure we can upload a TXT file or a PDF file, and then want to start asking questions about it. In what way do you think this can help you in what you are currently doing, right? In your current workplace? In what scenario can you think of, right? In what scenario can you think of that this would currently help you in what you are in your current workplace? So can you give us a current scenario of what you think, right? A current scenario of that you can think of that you can need to ask the document question. Maybe you have a very private data that you do not want to upload, right, to ChatGPT's interface or Gemini's interface, right, because it is so confidential, right? Can you create your own mini app and then begin to ask your document important questions? In what scenario? I know somebody joined us yesterday, the person was a veterinary doctor. I saw somebody when we were discussing about our roles, the person said you're an SEO content marketer, the person said the person is a French teacher. So in all these different roles, right, how can this mini app that we have created now, how can it be helpful to you? So let's hear scenarios that this can be helpful to you. Shogun Bello is saying, Abara Christian, are we the ones to generate all these codes, or are we to extract them from somewhere? Abara Christian, do you mean to say that you do not have access to this notebook? Because I've been seeing that the admin has been sending the link to this notebook several times. So are you trying to say you do not have access to this notebook? Because no task is expected from you. You're just supposed to see this, how it works, And then all these mini projects that we are doing, they are supposed to help you think about your own final project, right? Because at the end of this 8 weeks classes, right, you are supposed to think of a very good final project in your domain based on everything that you've learned that you can work on, right? You've been taught how to add memory, right, to a chatbot. You've been taught how to do summarization. You've been taught, we are now learning, right, how to do QA. Okay, so you said that you have access to the notebook. Yes, so since you have access to the notebook, no action, right, is currently expected on your hand. But when you want to work on your own task, right, maybe a problem that you want to solve and all, you can just go back to this notebook and take important things that you think, oh, would be helpful. I don't expect you to know everything in your head immediately because it takes time, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So you can just go back to the notebooks, copy the codes that you need for whatever problem you need to solve. And if you are trying to solve a very new problem that has not been covered in any of the notebook that we have talked about, you have to make sure that you have a good logical understanding of what you want to do, right? um then craft that prompt in a very good way, and then you can ask your models like GPT, and then they'll give you a very good response. But note that if you do not craft this prompt very well, you are going to run into errors, and then you will start debugging. And then at the end of the day, I'm sure with the prompting techniques that we've been taught, you should be able to overcome that. So yes, we have some very good, excellent use cases here. We have some excellent use cases here. Segun Bello is saying it helps you to summarize loads of radiology test results. So you can upload a PDF that contains different radiology results and say summarize. But if you are saying summarize, and you know that you wouldn't want to make the system prompt the current one we have now for QA, right? Because the major difference is the system prompt, right? You would want to still use the summarization system prompts that we've used before. So Winifred is saying you can upload a textbook and ask questions to give you to research on. Yes, you can upload a textbook, but currently in this our own current interface, right? If we upload a very, very large textbook, it is going to break this because we are creating a very mini QA system, right? And this QA system does not expect too large CSV files, right? And that is a problem, right? So what do we do? How can we upload large CSV files, right? And then still get a response, right? This is where retrieval augmented generation still comes in, right? And we're going to see how this works tomorrow, because I've been saying, oh, to this hallucination, can use retrieval augmented generation. To do this, to ask question from a very large document, right, we can use retrieval augmented generation. What exactly is this retrieval augmented generation? We are going to see when we come in tomorrow's class. So excellent, Winifred. I can see Olubola saying help you to upload your CSV files. So you know that a CSV files is a CSV file is a structured data, right? It is structured. We have rows and then we have columns there. PDF files are unstructured. So yes, you can do that. And I think that is another notebook that we should work on in this class. How to do this question answering on CSV files. How to do, let me put it down. So which is what? A structured data. Because right now, we are dealing with unstructured data. So excellent, great one, Bola. Yes, I stopped at Bola. Tune in Saints can be used to build QO for quiz questions based on the Excellent, excellent. Makes a yes. So instead of thinking of, oh, my students, oh, how do I give them quiz? Oh, you can just what, upload the materials and say generate questions for me, right? And the appropriate answers, right? Please make sure you limit yourself to the scope of this document that I am uploading. Great one. Today, excellent. All right, so Francis is saying analyze our business product specification document. Excellent. So you are saying when you have a business product specification document, right, can ask question on it. I like that. Olayinka is saying you can use it to update customers' personal data. Can we use it? No, I don't think so for a question answering system to update is a lot, right? I will expect that your customers personal data is stored in a database, right? This is just a question answering system, right? We are not like updating the content of a database through this. So no, we can't use it, this question answering system, in that way, but I'm sure you'll be able to think of another scenario. Yes, Moses, it will help you prepare your monthly report efficiently. Meribayo is saying, I like that. The chatbot will help me, my clients reach out to me in case they want me to supply. Sorry. I'm currently at Mumbai. Okay. I'm actually excited. We can see, like, please, I want us to listen to this different scenario because all of us gathered here, like, we have different things that we are doing. We all have different expertise. Everybody here is already an expert on something, right? So it's now nice to see how all of us can now think of, okay, how can this be applied to my field? And it's exciting, right, to see the possibilities, right? It's very exciting. So you should listen as I am reading. So Mary Bayo is saying the chat box will help our clients, right, reach out to her in case they want them to supply something to them. So in this kind of scenarios, a question answering, let's say, well, if your clients are having questions, right, about your product and all, so instead of you answering them every time, which can be tiring, right? Let's say you have 1 million clients, right? How would you be able to answer all those clients? It's going to take a whole lot of time, right? So for this now, you can have combined frequently asked questions from your clients in a document, right? And then use retrieval augmented generation, which we are going to learn about tomorrow, because prompting enough alone will not be enough, right, to answer the different customers question, because now this question will be so specific about your product, right, which the model might not know about when it was being trained. So in this kind of instance, you'd also still want to use retrieval augmented generation. So we have 4 minutes left before the end of this class, and I want to get to um everybody's question. Miguel J, you can always check that out. Clement, it helps you to review journals related to topic you are interested in. Instead of reading all through, you can just ask question, right? Excellent. I can see Abubakar. Yes, I can see Abubakar saying can help in reviewing CVs in an online job application. That's another scenario, right? That's another scenario. So yes, so now this is not a question answering again, Abubakar, right? Because but you can still use that function. Exactly. The PDF, that PDF library you meant to say, right, can help you extract those texts, right, from the CV and then easily review it, right, with the AI model. Just tell it, you are a model reviewer, this, that. And do you know that this is something that we are still going to do in this class? What if a models are being used, right, by HRs to like review CVs and all? Can a model be biased? We are going to still see this. as we are moving on in this class. Can a model as a reviewer, can it be biased, right? So we are going to see it as we are moving on in this class. Oyekule is saying as a veterinary doctors can be used to read a diagnostic file document and use that to create treatment protocols. I like that. So we are also going to create that in this class. We are going to read a diagnostic file document and use it to create treatment protocols. We have just 2 minutes to the end of this class. Olajumoke is saying it helps me keep tabs with confidential documents from different clients. Okay, excellent. Yes, if your prompt's gone wrong, you can also iterate it. Like prompting is an iterative process. It's an iterative uh process. You can use it. Emmanuel is saying you can use it to summarize the literature of a product. Yeah, that would be a summarization app. Excellent, Olufunke. All right. So um all right, don't worry, we'll try to upload our documents when we come tomorrow, but you can also try it out as your end. We have just 1 minute to the end of this class, so I hope you've been able to learn from others how this simple QA system that we have built, right, can be used in different scenarios, right? So when you come tomorrow, we'll upload our own file to can the model be biased? That is a very important question. We will see, right? So when we come tomorrow, right, we'll be introduced to what retrieval augmented generation is and also upload the PDF or text file and see the kind of questions that we can learn from it. Thank you very much for joining the class and thank you for making it very interactive. I hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye.